today's class, we have powers and functions of the president, which is a very important topic because as we know, president is the executive head of the union. Though we say that president is a nominal head and prime minister is the real head of the government, that is president is the head of the state and prime minister is the head of the government. But as we know, the constitution has given a very big role or very significant role for the president. So in the name of president only, all the administrative activities are done. So all the administrative functions are being done under the name and sign of the president. So president of India has a various role, that is various functions covering most of the areas. Like we say, the president of India has executive role. The president of India, as he is a top executive of the nation, he has many other executive roles. As we say, appointment of various dignitaries, including prime minister, council of ministers, various constitutional heads, like we have election commission, UPSC, CAG, Comptroller and Auditor General, Attorney General, High Court and Supreme Court judge, governors. So all these appointments are made by the president. So president have various appointing authority, and they also removed, most of them are removed by the president also. And similarly, we have legislative roles also, summoning of the parliament, because when we say legislative role of the president, president is the integral part of the parliament. We have parliament, we have Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha and president. So president is integral part of the parliament. Here we would be discussing what are the important roles. As we said, we have executive role, legislative role, we have financial role, which is very much important. As we know, money bill can be introduced only by the prior recommendation of the president, and various such bills are introduced in the parliament by prior recommendation of the president. So financial role is also played. President of India also have judicial functions with him, because as we know, the Supreme Court is the ultimate authority or custodian of the constitution, and in our constitution we know president is the head of the nation. So there are various provisions in the constitution which also gave power to the president regarding judicial role. As we say, granting of pardon, remittances, respite or decreasing the sentences, these all become a part of judicial role. So we also have, president is also have other roles like ordinance making power, which is also part of the legislative powers, and president have military powers. As president is the supreme commander of all the three forces, the president have an enormous role regarding the defense or military of the nation. And president have diplomatic powers. Diplomatic powers in sense, president could appoint ambassadors or could invite ambassadors and talk on international relations. So diplomatic role also is with the president of India. So we will be discussing in details all those roles, right from executive to legislature, judicial, financial, military and such roles, financial roles in this class. So we'll start with the powers and functions of the president. So here, as we know, president is the topmost executive of the nation. Article 53 gives the power to the president. So here Article 53 says that executive powers are vested in the president. Executive powers are vested in the president. Whatever the action taken by the government, whatever the administrative action is taken by the government would be under the president only. President has to sign such actions. So in the name of the president only, there will be an administrative action. We know the Council of Ministers headed by the Prime Minister would aid and advise the president. So here executive powers are vested in the president. This article in the constitution says that executive powers are vested in the president, because the head of the executive is the president. President is the head of the executive. We know Article 75. Article 75 says that the Council of Ministers is appointed by the president. So the Council of Ministers is appointed by the president on the recommendation of the Prime Minister. So Article 75 and Article 75 Clause 1. Here Article 75 Clause 1 says that even the Prime Minister is appointed by the President and the Council of Ministers are appointed by the President on the recommendation of the Prime Minister. So obviously, because we know Council of Ministers are the executive, they are the executive. As we have discussed in our last classes, in parliamentary form of government, we have dual membership. So the legislatures could only become the executives, that is the elected legislatures, they can become the ministers. Only the members of the parliament can become the ministers. So as we know, the Council of Ministers is the real executive head. Within the Council of Ministers, we have a cabinet. So cabinet is the most important portfolios within the Council of Ministers. So the cabinet is the highest decision making body. Because the Council of Ministers and the Prime Minister are appointed by the President, obviously President is the topmost executive authority in the Union. So the actions of President are not answerable in any court. So not answerable. The actions of the President are not answerable at any court, because the actions whatever is taken by the President is not President's own action. They have been advised, the actions are aided and advised by the Council of Ministers headed by the Prime Minister. Ikkada President sontanga action edi teeskoru. He doesn't take action on his own. He has been advised by the Council of Ministers, and that is the reason why, because President is not answerable to any court in the exercise of his official powers. Not only this, he is not answerable, he or she is not answerable in any court. The Constitution also provides certain immunities to the President. Here, why immunities? Because one thing is, President is the first citizen of the nation, and President represents the entire nation, not one party or not one section of the people. President represents all the section of the society and entire nation. So definitely the President should be protected from any misgivings. That is the reason why the Constitution has provided certain immunities to the President. President could not be arrested for either criminal cases, and he should be given a 2 months of prior notice for any civil cases. So he has given lot of immunities here. That is the reason why we say that President has armed with enormous powers. He has many power. Though we generally say that President acts on the advice of Council of Ministers, it is one part. President also has many discretionary powers. As we say, President has constitutional powers and President has certain discretionary powers also. That is, President can also act without the advice of the Council of Ministers in certain cases. So we will be discussing all those provisions of President when we discuss the Parliament. So generally speaking, when we say that there is no absolute majority in the House, otherwise when we say that the Lok Sabha has been dissolved because there is no confidence in the House, the President can choose any person from the opposition party and make him a Prime Minister. So that Prime Minister has to prove his majority. So that is the discretionary power of the President. Otherwise, generally we say article amendment 42nd and 44th amendment has said that it is binding on the president that the aid and advisors of the Council of Ministers headed by the Prime Minister should be followed. This is one case. So generally, as we say, what are the powers and functions of the president? We generally try to understand the powers and functions under these heads. It is an executive power, legislative power of the president, financial powers, we have judicial powers, diplomatic powers, military powers and emergency powers. Under these 7 heads, we would be discussing the various functions and powers of the president. Every head is important because generally we say president is a powerful dignitary. He is the head of the executive, he is the head of the state. So he would be exercising so many important functions. And that is the reason why in competitive exams also we would be finding many questions from the president, both in preliminary examination, that is where we have objective type questions, and also in mains examinations. It is very important to understand and to know these functions in depth, and we also compare these functions with the functions of other heads of the state, for example with President of America. So starting with the executive functions. So executive here is, we know executive agency is the agency which actually implements the policies, or the head of the nation which executes the policies. So executive power here, it is different from the legislative power. When we say legislation, legislation means formulation of the policies. That is, you prepare the policies in legislature. Policies are framed in the legislature. Execution is when such policies are actually implemented. So implemented in the field. So those are the powers which with the president. So where you appoint someone, it is not a legislative function, it's an executive function, because you are appointing a authority. So appointment of an authority, for example appointment of a chief election commissioner or appointing Chief Justice of India, these are executive functions. So executive functions are different from the legislative functions, and we in this class try to understand that what different executive functions are there within the president. So here the president will exercise his executive functions, or he may appoint someone or take the help of some officers to exercise those executive functions. That is, exercise the functions directly by the president. Few functions the president has to exercise, like what we said, appointment of the important dignitaries, important constitutional dignitaries, that president would generally do on his own. And few functions the president will appoint subordinate authority for the execution of such functions. So the constitution itself mentioned that the executive functions can be directly functioned or administered by the president, or the president may give subordinates for the execution of such functions. And this generally comes under the military power. That is, president is the supreme commander of all 3 forces. We have 3 forces. We have forces like Army, Navy and Indian Air Force, and president commands all the 3 forces. That is the reason why we call the president as the supreme commander of defense. This is the reason why we know the president is the head of the nation. The government will come and go, but the post of president is always permanent, because the president also represents the Indian people at international platform. That is the reason why he is more powerful or more recognized. So Article 72, here Article 72 is important because the president would grant pardon, reprieves, or he could decrease the punishment. This is also one of the executive functions. This we would be studying again in the judicial powers of the president. We would be going into detail what the pardon is, what reprieve is, what is respite, remission. These are the things where the punishment could be moderated or decreased. So this we would be studying in judicial powers. So when we say executive powers, appointment of Prime Minister. The Prime Minister is appointed under Article 75. The President will appoint a Prime Minister who is also one among the members of the Parliament. So first the Prime Minister is appointed, then on the recommendation of the Prime Minister, various Council of Ministers are appointed by the President. That is under Article 75 and under Article 75 Clause 1, the Council of Ministers and the Prime Minister are appointed by the President. So this is the important executive power of the President, because the Council of Ministers, as we know, the Council of Ministers in parliamentary form of government is an executive agency or executive body. Within the Council of Ministers, we have again an important body called Cabinet, which is the highest decision making body. So those Council of Ministers or members of the Council of Ministers are appointed by the President on the recommendation of the Prime Minister. So again saying the same thing, with the advice of the Prime Minister make other appointments. So we generally say that once the Council of Ministers are appointed, it's a political body appointing Council of Ministers. There are many MPs which generally take the oath, and apart from the MPs we have ministers who have a special vote of secrecy, again appointed by the President. But again we have constitutional dignitaries also. So these are the important appointments made by the President. When we say that with the advice of the Prime Minister make other appointments like Attorney General. Attorney General would be representing the government in the court. Attorney General is a senior advocate or a practitioner of law, would represent the government. The government cases are represented by the Attorney General in Supreme Court, in High Court or in various other courts. So Attorney General is also part of the executive. As we have discussed, the executive of union government, the union executive consists of 5 important dignitaries, that is President, Vice President, Prime Minister, Council of Ministers and Attorney General. So Attorney General is appointed by the President under Article 76. Article, under Article 76, the Attorney General is appointed by the President, and certainly it is recommended by the Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers. And we have Chief Justice of Supreme Court and those of High Courts. So not only Chief Justice, we have Chief Justice of India, that is Chief Justice of Supreme Court is CJI, Chief Justice of India is appointed by the President. Not only Chief Justice of India, that is Supreme Court, but also other judges of the Supreme Court are also appointed by the President. So this one is important. So Chief Justice of India is appointed under Article 124. Chief Justice of India and other judges of Supreme Court are appointed by the President under Article 124. Similarly, we have Chief Justice of High Courts, Chief Justice of High Courts and other judges of High Courts. So we have High Court in almost all the states. So Chief Justice of High Court and other judges of High Courts are also appointed by the President of India. This is under Article 217. So we have to remember these articles because these are the important dignitaries in the Constitution. As we know, 75 talks about the appointment of Council of Ministers and the appointment of Prime Minister. And we have Attorney General. Attorney General is a legal dignitary who represents the government in various cases in Supreme Court or various other courts. So Attorney General as is a part of the Union Executive is also appointed by the President under Article 76. Chief Justice of India and other Supreme Court judges are also appointed by the President under Article 124. When we say appointed by the President do not take his own decisions. So President would rely on advices of Council of Ministers, which is headed by the Prime Minister. So these are again very important constitutional bodies. We have Union Public Service Commission. Union Public Service Commission, we have a chairman and other members also. This body is a symbol of merit. So the whatever merit system we have will be protected by Union Public Service Commission. So whatever exams we have, All India Services, Central Services and various other services are being conducted by the Union Public Service Commission, UPSC, and the chairman and the members of the UPSC are also appointed by the President. So the members of the UPSC, the chairman of the UPSC are appointed under Article 316. Under Article 316, there is an appointment or the Article 316 suggests that, provides that the chairman and members of the Union Public Service Commission are appointed by the President of India. We have Election Commission, that is Election Commissioner. We have a multi-member body at present, Election Commissioner, that is CEC. We have Chief Election Commissioner and other election commissioners. One is we have Chief Election Commissioner. We have a 3-member body. In that we have one Chief Election Commissioner and 2 election commissioners. So all this Election Commissioner and the CEC for Election Commission of India is also appointed by the President of India. This is under Article 324. We have the CEC, Chief Election Commission of India or Election Commission of India, which is under Article 344, and appointments are done for those chairmen and members of the Election Commission under Article 324. We have governor of states. Every state governors are also appointed by the President of India, because governors are not directly elected. Governors are appointed by the President of India on the advice of Council of Ministers headed by the Prime Minister. So governor acts as a link between the union government and other state governments. So as we know, we have a federal kind of polity where the states have certain autonomy or independency in its functioning. So when we talk about the governor, who is an agent of the union in the states, will be having a lot of power. The governor could also veto certain bills, or the governor could also stop certain bills at the state level. The governor could also make certain bills sent to the President for the consideration of the President. So generally speaking, even governor has an enormous power as the President has at union level. Governor also has powers at state level. So the appointment of the governor is also in the hands of President. The President would generally appoint the governor. We have chief commissioners of union territories. So we have lieutenant governors in union territories. Union territories are ruled by the union. They are small entities which are ruled by the union. They do not have the status of the state, except the state of Delhi, the Delhi and the Puducherry. These are the two union administered territories where there is a legislative assembly. So Delhi has its own legislative assembly and Puducherry is also has its own legislative assembly. But there will be a lieutenant governor in all these union territories. Administratively, the President would appoint lieutenant governors who administers those union territories. We though have chief ministers, but it's not completely a separate state. It doesn't have a state status. So the commissioners of union territories are also been appointed by the President of India. So these are the important appointments. We also have other appointments like we have appointment of CAG, Comptroller and Auditor General. This we will be discussing in our gist or synopsis after we finished all those powers. So CAG, Comptroller and Auditor General, will be appointed by the President under Article 148. Article 148 says that the Comptroller and Auditor General is appointed by the President under Article 158. We have National Commission for Scheduled Caste, we have National Commission for Scheduled Tribe. For Scheduled Caste it is 338 and for Scheduled Tribe it is 338A. So under these articles, the National Commission or the Commissioner for Scheduled Caste and Scheduled Tribe at national level are also appointed by the President. So this shows that how important the executive powers of the President are. The President appoints almost all the dignitaries, and also the President has the power of removal of such dignitaries also by following certain provisions mentioned in the Constitution. So by following certain measures mentioned in the Constitution, that is by the process of bringing a bill, for example, to remove Supreme Court judge, or to remove an election commissioner, chief election commissioner, we have to follow certain process that we would be discussing when we discuss the constitutional bodies. So here the President holds a lot of executive power when it comes to the administration of the union government. And also the important thing is every appointment in central government is in the name of the President, is under the seal of the President. So President would sign, and under the seal of the President every appointment is made, and that is the authority of the President. So again, when we say the executive powers, we also say that the President is the first citizen of the nation. Whenever there is any dignitary coming from other countries, or when the President goes to other countries, the President represents India. Okay, so the President is such a dignitary that he represents India in foreign countries. Wherever there is an invitation for the President to participate at international level, international meetings, or bicameral or multilateral, bilateral or multilateral meetings, then if the President is invited there, it is for the sure that President is not representing the government of India, but the President is representing entire India. So there is a difference. The government is headed by the Prime Minister, but here the President represents India in its entirety, going across all the regional or national parties here. So President represents the nation, not the country. So not the government. President represents the nation. So here in the eyes of the foreign countries, it is the President who generally represents the people of the nation. The President has some diplomatic powers also. Here sends and receives ambassadors and other diplomatic agents from other countries. This we would be again discussing in the diplomatic powers of President. But when sending and receiving agents is also one of the part of the executive powers. So he sends and receives the ambassadors. He appoints certain dignitaries also, which is also the executive power of the President. So whatever the war and peace is declared in the name of the President. So if we go with other countries, or we are at war with our border countries, it should be also under the name of the President, because President is the ultimate executive head. To make peace also, the President's authority, or under the sign of the President only, whatever peace deal happens will be under the executive of the President. So President can also issue directives to the state governors. Again, we have executive power here, because the governors are appointed by the President, and the governors are the constitutional bodies, because governors are mentioned in the Constitution. They are the constitutional head, in the state, and it is the responsibility of the governor in the state that the state government functions according to the provisions of the constitution. If there is any breakdown of the constitution or breakdown of the law and order or peace in the state, then governor would represent to the president, saying that the directly elected assembly is functioning other than the constitutional boundaries. So there might be a breakdown of the constitution, or there might be a failure of the directly elected government. In that case, the governor would take the advices of the president, or the president would make advices to the governor on such states on certain matters. So directives are issued to the governor in certain executive matters. We also say that there are many such bills which are kept for the consideration of the president by the governor. So this we would be also discussing on various bills when we discuss the legislative powers. And president is responsible for the administration of union territories also. As we said, the president would appoint the lieutenant governors in the union territories, and union territories are also directly administered by the union. In the name of the president, whatever directives are there by the Council of Ministers or by the cabinet headed by the Prime Minister would be administered by the government. That is also administered in the name of the president. So president directly administers the union territories through lieutenant governors, because we do not have a directly elected body in all the union territories except Delhi and Puducherry. So as we know, the president appoints various dignitaries of the constitution. At the same time, the president also has power to remove them. As we said, the president could remove all these dignitaries following certain provisions mentioned in the constitution. So as we know, the Chief Justice can be removed by introducing a bill in the parliament. Various Supreme Court and High Court judges can also be removed in that way, and the remove of chairman and members of the commission, because the president has authority. President appoints them. In our constitution, we also say that the president, when he appoints, he also has the power to remove, but following certain procedures. So this is where we have executive powers of the president. We would be discussing the legislative powers.